You're listening to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. Comics, television, movies, and more. If it impacts fan culture, we have something to say about it. And now, your hosts, Jordan, Cliff, and Seth.
Don't take money. Don't take fame. You don't need no credit card to ride this train. This is Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast, and we are talking time travel. My name is Jordan Lowe.
Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth. You know that tune, don't you, Jesse?
Oh, you bet I do. I might have even just listened to that today, as a matter of fact.
I did too. It better not be number 10. So let's see. What are we doing?
We are back talking the top 20 time travel films of all time with special guest Jesse Starcher of the Source Material podcast over on the Redlich and Broadcasting Network. This is part 2. We've already done 20 through 11. Should we do a quick recap?
Boy, we did
I'll
it
come
all
down
right.
Here. Listen to this mess. Okay.
So don't skip that. You should listen to it because it goes from civil to not so to less than civil.
Yeah. So if you want to stop now and go back and listen to that discussion, a lot of fretting, a lot of finger wringing, but hair pulling. But I'm going to spoil it and read those 20 picks here. We at number 20, Jesse picked Army of Darkness. At 19, Cliff had Midnight in Paris. He followed that up with Idiocracy at number 18. At 17, I picked a new indie movie from 2020 called Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes. At 16, the OJ picked Frequently Asked Questions About Time Travel. At 15, Cliff came back with 13 going on 30. Which threw us for a loop, but he was no. It's a time travel, and it got
what it was doing was setting a trend.
Yeah. Then at 14, Jordan had his first pick that late into the draft with Run Lola Run, the '90s time loop movie, and then at 13, I went with a sentimental favorite, Frequency. Then at 12, Jesse came back with Flight of the Navigator, which pleased Cliff greatly because he said he was going to pick that at some point. So that's good. We got a favorite of a few people on the list here. And then at 11, Cliff chose Field of Dreams. I believe I flipped the table left. Jesse, we love the movie, but we just didn't think it needed to be that high on our time travel list. So Jesse used his veto, the first power used in this little session here, and so Cliff replaced it with Terminator 2 : Judgment Day. We all agreed this absolutely belongs on the time travel list. A couple of us wish it may have been higher, but we're glad to get it on here. And now we're up to our top 10. So there's a lot of room here to get some quality stuff on there. I can't wait to hear what other people, even outside of us, think should have been on here. I hope your favorites make this list. I hope my favorites make this list. So looks like Jordan is going to Jordan is going to get to make his second pick out of 4. He will be picking the number 10.
So good news, everybody. Every movie after this is better than Terminator 2.
Exactly. That's what we have to deal with. But
I mean that's pretty good for a movie.
We have a bunch of powers left. Should we have used it? Something maybe, but we're holding on to see what else could go wrong, basically. So the powers that remain are Jordan has 2 vetoes to try to protect his number 1 pick or do what he will with them. Cliff still has a veto. Jesse still has a veto override, and I still have my veto. So I feel like these could come into play if we don't like something. If there's something pops up we don't like, it's time to break these suckers out. So we got Jordan at number 10.
All right. So I chose the column with only 4 picks, which I'm feeling good about now.
Yeah, now that you're in the top 10, I have 3 picks.
Right, because there's not much. I have 3 picks, and I got about 3 definites, and I don't know, not much past that deserves to be in the top 10. So let's hope I get all my picks on this list.
If it's remotely good, you better let him have it.
That's a threat. That's really just a threat.
He is the number 1 pick also overall.
So I'm going to go ahead on my personal list. This might be a little higher. I don't know where it falls with you guys and your level of nostalgia, but I will stick with number 10, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, 1989.
Now, a motion picture so grand, so magnificent, and so vast, it spans 7,000 years.
No way! Yes way!
But it starts with Bill.
I'm Bill S. Preston!
Who was Joan of Arc? And Ted.
Noah's wife? We're in danger of flunking most heinously tomorrow.
A force from the future.
Can we go anywhere we want at any time?
You can do anything you want. Is putting history at their fingertips.
Let's reach out and touch someone.
They're traveling through time.
How's it going, Royal Ugly Dudes?
Put them in the Iron Maiden.
Excellent!
Execute them.
Bogus. How's it going, dude?
And they're making a big impression.
Historical babes.
Now they're home.
Everybody get together, remember who your buddy is.
To trash the 20th century.
You got a live one here.
Keanu Reeves, Alex Winter, Napoleon.
We're from history.
Billy the Kid.
Oh my God!
Joan of Arc. Sigmund Freud.
Tell me about your mother. You a musician?
Beethoven.
Genghis Khan!
Abraham Lincoln.
Party on, dudes!
Socrates. George Carlin.
We're history. If you guys are really us, what number are we thinking of? 69, dudes!
Bill and Ted's
Excellent! Excellent!
Excellent Adventure.
Party on, dude.
I like it.
The comedic take on time travel. Keanu Reeves, Alex Winter, trying to pass a high school history program. Rufus shows up, George Carlin, because they if they fail, one of them's got to go to military school. It's just going to be a problem all around. They go. And they go back
Goes
in
to
time.
military school, becomes John Wick.
Right. Meet all these historical figures. We got Bob Genghis Khan, Socrates Johnson,
Socrates,
and Abraham Lincoln. Just great 80s. The California Valley vernacular that these guys have with each other. The excellent air guitar, just iconic movie all around. I love it. Had a sequel, and then many years later, even had a third one. So I must not be the only one who loves it.
Yeah.
Go on.
I was just gonna say this was a super fun movie that I don't think anybody at the time ever thought it was going to be a thing. And how quickly that changed, because this was a huge hit, especially among, kids our age, because it was so fun and it was silly, but yet so many things came out of that. The smart comedy that we picked up on, anytime anybody says anything about Socrates, that's all I ever think about. Socrates. In this movie, and the brilliant, Carlin right there in front of us as Rufus, and having the time machine being a silly phone booth. Talk about a relic, something that doesn't exist anymore, with the stupid antenna on top that gets broken, and they had the fun like video game type effects, almost the computer animation with the tubes that they traveled through time. Just so fun. Go ahead, Seth.
Oh, I like this movie. It's I love it at 10. I mean, this is probably my favorite placement. It's not my top 10, but I am glad to see it not way higher. I was afraid this was going to be on somebody's list too high. So I love that Jordan picked it at 10 because it deserves to be there. And yeah, I love it. I remember really enjoying it. It's hilarious. I even like Bogus Journey. So good stuff. Good stuff.
Right. Yeah, I think I had this was definitely on my list at it was 10's fine. I'm fine with it.
10's fine. It's exactly how I feel.
10 is fine. I think that I don't think I went to the theaters and watched this. This is 89, so most likely I rented this and watched it. Loved it. Just like you said, it's a goofy like teen comedy. Time travel's mixed in there, and these guys, the tagline for on the poster
was it strange things are afoot at the Circle K?
No, it was not. It was not that.
That's the line. That's the line I remember all the time.
History is about to be rewritten by two guys who can't spell. So, I mean, they play these. They're not jocks. They're not. They're just these goofy, dumb high school kids that are trying to get by and pass this exam. And
it's like the prequel to Dude, Where's My Car?
But these guys are destined to be something, and that's right. You're sitting there. That's the big thing about this movie. Is like these guys, right. They are responsible for world and universal peace.
Religion, And
you're looking at these guys like
they have good hearts. Like they're not,
right.
They might be a little dim. They might be a little dense, but they're guys a good story of friendship.
They're happy.
Yeah.
And that's the allure, is like you're trying to figure out how do they go from this point to that point. But the one thing, the one critical event in their history is that they have to pass this exam or things, the future is just basically going to be destroyed. And Rufus has come back to make sure that that's happened. It's an iconic 80s film too. A lot of fun. There's the soundtrack, which I don't have in front of me. I bet you probably kick some ass. I bet I know a few songs off of the second Bogus Journey off of that one pretty easy. But Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, great film, deserves to be on the list. I'll take it at number 10.
I love it. Perfect placement here. Okay, so that takes us to number 9. That's me, I think. Let's see. Yeah, so my first of 3 picks in the top 10. Not going to get another one here for a little while. So what am I putting in here? I think I know what I'm doing. Because, let's see. This has to be on here for me, So I think this is where it should be for me too. Even, it's probably the least time travel movie on my list, but it's still all about time travel.
Field of Dreams.
Yes, you caught me. This was all about getting it higher.
This was all a ruse.
I just wanted to get it higher on the list. Oh, let's see here. Gotta find. Okay. This is a movie based on a classified ad. A real classified ad that read, "Wanted someone to go back in time with me. This is not a joke. You'll get paid after we get back. Must bring your own weapons. I've only done this once before." And then in bold, "Safety not guaranteed."
Writers, does anybody have an idea for a story?
How about this time travel ad? Guy writes a classified that reads, "Wanted someone to go back in time with me. This is not a joke. You'll get paid after we get back. Must bring your own weapons. Safety not guaranteed. I've only done this once before." I want to find this guy. See if maybe he believes in this stuff. I don't know. I think it could be funny.
You want to do it?
Can I get a couple of interns? Help me with the research?
Me, too, please. Me.
All right, give me the lesbian and the Indian, and I got a story. What'd you get?
Got his name, where he works.
What makes you think he won't slam the door in my face, too?
Probably none of the other people were beautiful girls.
Easier now.
Do you sell guns here? Something sexy and affordable with killing power?
Is there a pest problem?
Well, if your ad had been written properly, I may have a better idea of what I need. I hope you worked harder on your calibrations.
My calibrations are flipping pinpoint, okay? You ever face certain death?
If it was so certain, I wouldn't be here, would I?
I think you're ready for the next steps in basic training.
I think I'm getting better than you.
But let's not get ahead of yourself here, okay? I'm certain I'm being recorded. I'm certain I'm being followed.
What's wrong with this guy?
What makes you think there's something wrong with him?
Because he thinks he can go back in time.
What are you going back for?
The mission has to do with regret. Mistakes, no matter how tempting it will be, we're never, ever gonna say, hey, leave your Star Wars figurines in the box because they'll be worth like hundreds more.
I love this movie. It's from 2012. Colin Trevorrow directed. It's such a sentimental movie to me. But it's Mark Duplass, Aubrey Plaza, Jake Johnson. It's about about regrets and reliving some things if you can. And he Mark Duplass's character places this ad in the classifieds and tries to get someone to go back and time with him. And this is the best thing Aubrey Plaza's ever done. I just think she's adorable in this movie. It's got a little bit of that mumblecore to it. The scene in the grocery store is phenomenal with the cans of soup and stuff, but it's all about, is he or isn't he serious? Does this guy really have the ability to go back in time as he says he does? And she works for a magazine, I think, where they're trying to just, find a story. So they see this classified ad and go follow it up and try to see if this guy is full of it or not. He certainly seems like it. He claims to be being followed by, men in black, basically the government officials, and they find out people actually are following him. So is it true? Is it not? Or are they also just curious? Meanwhile, Jake Johnson's character is, kind of stumbles upon a high school sweetheart off Facebook or whatever, and he kind of does his own traveling back in time, just trying to relive some of his past. So it's all just about regrets, and it has a pretty climactic finish that not everybody loves. What didn't go over with everyone, but it just hit me squarely, and I just love it, love it, love it. My son and I have watched it several times. It is just as sentimental as time travel movie can get to me. So it's Safety Not Guaranteed. Has anyone else seen it?
So I have, and that was on the suggestion by Jordan. A few years ago, I threw something out there on Facebook. It was obviously about time travel movies, and Jordan suggested this one. And I watched it, and yeah, I enjoyed it. I had a good time. You talk about the ending. This is my jam. I like movies like this. I don't want some kind of cookie cutter ending all the time. Like my wife, who she would look at me, if she watched this with me, she would look at me afterwards and go, "That was stupid." That's classic Mindy Starcher. But I enjoy movies where it's it's all a mystery. You're like, is it an actual thing? Can he do this? And there's a lot of tension. But you get to see him get this relationship, develop this relationship with that the news reporter that's following him, Aubrey Plaza's character, and I did like it. I think I've watched it a couple times. But yes, I have seen it. And as for it being on the list, I don't have a veto, so I can't really complain about it.
I threw this into my honorable mentions because I knew Seth would have it on his list. I knew he'd have this one covered. But yeah, the perfect role for Aubrey Plaza. Aubrey Plaza. Because it starts out very cynical. She's rolling her eyes. This guy's a weirdo. What a creep. This guy sucks. This is dumb. Let's just make fun of him. But the closer she gets to him, you have to crack that shell, and she learns it, becomes interested in him, and then kind of defensive of him, and really comes to care for him. So Yeah, it's emotional and it's thought provoking. It's just excellent movie.
Yeah, you're really right about like her dynamic in it, how she changes over time, and you just like feel her, becoming very protective of him and as it seems like he's full of it, she doesn't want to let that go. She believes more as everyone else believes less, and
but doesn't let her coworkers know.
Right.
She has to act like, yeah, this is just a stupid story we're doing. Like, she has to keep up that veneer, with the other writers.
And there's sentimental moments where he sings a song at one part and like, yeah, some people just thought, oh, this is stupid, and I'm just like, no, this song sucks, but I love it. I just love how sentimental it is, how he plays that character, and how sad he is. It's just, I don't know. Have you ever seen it, Cliff?
No, I have not seen this at all.
I don't know if it's your jam, but if it's definitely, I mean, it's in my top 30 movies of all time. So I love it. So that is my number 9 for our list. Safety Not Guaranteed. Check it out. At number 8, Jesse gets to make his second to last pick here.
Right. Now it's boiling down to it here. It's one of these things where you're just like, okay, I need to get what I want on this list.
Yep, pretty much.
And so I've got it down to 2 films, one of which I am fairly certain is going. I mean, I've got 8. There's 8 more picks after this. I'm fairly certain that these other films are going to show up there that I really, really want. These are happening. So this one, I don't know if it is happening. So I'm getting it on there. Give me just a moment here. I believe this film came out in 1989. And
please be in
my well, let's find out. 1989.
Oh, I know what it is.
After visiting 2015, I'll read it right off the IMDb. I don't care. Here we go. After visiting 2015, Marty McFly must repeat his visit to 1955 to prevent disastrous changes to 1985 without interfering with his first trip, which that was an amazing piece to see happen on film. When I watched this movie, watching him go back to the future too, ladies and gentlemen, by the way, he goes back in time and is actually interacting, in the events of the first movie. This could have been a personal number 1 for me. We'll just put it that way.
I said something to Nick about that. I was like, all I know is I think one of Jesse's favorite movies is Back to the Future 2. 2.
Yep, part 2, the sequel.
I saw this at Town Square theaters because we didn't have a theater down here yet for another year, and I saw that with a buddy of mine, and we looked at each other when it was over and said we were going to be right back here in 6 months together. It's a date because it said this was like in October, and I think in April they were going to have Back to the Future 3.
Yeah, that's right.
And it was such a great cliffhanger. It was it was all you wanted from a sequel to to the original. It's like it was so well done. You're right. I mean, it was incredible.
You're going, you go into the future. The iconic time machine has got modifications to where all of a sudden it can fly now.
Yeah. Its wheels turn.
Oh yes, sir. It does. Its wheels turn and it does hover. But yeah, it ends on a it ends on a great cliffhanger, which is there's so many concepts that happen in Back to the Future too. The ending where Marty watches Doc get vaporized, and he's trying to figure out what's happened. He got struck by lightning. Oh my gosh, what's going on? And almost like within seconds, this guy pulls
comes,
up. Yep, the KG or the KGB, the FBI agent looking dude who's just like, no, I got a letter. It's from Western Union.
Yeah.
But anyway, Doc knew when he was going to disappear. He writes this letter. It's been sitting there for 80 some years or whatever, or 70 years. And he gets the letter. He reads it. I mean, those concepts spoke to me so much that, this is Back to the Future 2 is the reason why I think that I really, really, really enjoy using or watching people try to use time travel in their movies, in their comic books, in their books themselves. So yeah, I mean, I can't speak more high praise than what I already have on Back to the Future 2. Back to the Future 2 and 3, at one point, they were supposed to be one movie. That's obviously, you could probably tell, as quick as the turnaround was, that the plan was to do that as one film, but obviously with it being so long, they had to make it two. I've learned so much about this franchise listening to a podcast. There's a podcast. I think I've told you guys about this before, but there's a concept out there where you can listen to people talk about films 1 minute at a time. So it's called Back to the Future Minute, and they just watch 1 minute of the film, and then they have a 20-minute podcast about that one single minute of the film. These guys did all 3 films, and you learn so much. It just, as they extrapolate on this 1 minute and find things to talk about, you learned a lot about that. But anyway, I'll stop talking about it. Back to the Future 2 is going in there. Nobody ever needs to think about vetoing this.
Could have been a complete
threat.
Could have been a complete total dud. Going back and messing with something as perfect as Back to the Future, and say like, oh, we're gonna play scenes in that movie. We're gonna he's in the background of this scene in this movie. Like, it could have been a complete mess. It could have ruined the franchise and made you think less of the original. But it didn't. It expanded on it and was every bit as good as the first one. So, hey.
Yeah, I was a senior in high school when this came out.
Oh, wow.
So I was just like...
Were you working at Pizza Hut at this time? Like, they were doing a crossover with Pizza Hut, right? Weren't they?
No, I was not. I was done with Pizza Hut by then.
All right.
Put them in the hydrator and...
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the glasses were a big thing. Like the actual glasses were a thing that they were doing.
After a day of battling on the front lines, the last thing you need is kitchen duty. So tonight on your way home, stop off at Pizza Hut and pick up a hot, delicious Pizza Hut pizza to go. And at the same time, go back to the future for a great stocking stuffer. Now bring the future back as a Christmas present. Buy a Pizza Hut pizza and get a pair of solar shades for only $1.99. But hurry, they're going like there's no tomorrow. Pizza Hut, making it great!
Oh, yeah, that's good stuff.
Good stuff. Okay. Anybody, Cliff, do you like Back to the Future 2?
I do like Back to the Future 2. I remember going to the theater and watching it, knowing that 3 was going to be on its way also. So, yeah. I was definitely not disappointed. I've always liked it. I like any of those movies.
All right. So, well, time to wake up Cliff. Getting back on the board here. He's got... 2 picks here in the top 10, 7 and 2. So at 7.
Buckle up.
Oh my gosh.
No. This is interesting, right? Because most of the stuff I had, and just hope it lands somewhere, is already on the list. So got a couple things here, and I was kind of having a debate as you guys were going through the last few picks, like, what do I really want to do here? I don't know. I've got one big one left on my list that I feel like, I really felt like it was top 5 for me.
I think I know what it is.
On this one. But I get 2 picks.
Yeah.
So
like I said, I'm glad you Googled.
Everything is in your favor here. And
I'm going to roll the dice here, guys. Seth gave me 4 dice earlier.
What is this?
I don't like this. No. I don't like this already. It's not how I want my top 10 decided.
All the whims of fate.
This is fun. Here, let's see if I can maybe even pull it up here. Got a little info.
What are you looking like the top 20, whatever, and you're gonna roll
Yeah.
the dice and see whatever it
No.
is?
Oh no.
No. Pleasantville, 1998. He's silent. Tobey Maguire. This is a film where him and Reese Witherspoon play brother and sisters in modern day times, and they find themselves back in the 1950s on a television show in black and white. A novel concept. And it's just a movie that my wife and I went and saw way back in the day, and before we were married and just out of high school, and really liked it, to the point where we'll stop and kind of, if it's on television, watch a little bit, if not the whole thing. So it's an interesting film all about, his dream, this nerdy kind of high school kid, and his dream scenario, loves this 50s television show and ends up back in time. And it's all the classic, American 1950s family tropes, silliness, that doesn't ever go beyond the television show. So, it's him discovering this. He ends up, he's playing Bud in real life, and Reese Witherspoon ends up back there too, and she gets a chance to portray a different life, and the way they affect the town, and bringing color and emotion and love and hate all into this. I just always really enjoyed it. It's not necessarily a big time family show, but it's it's got some adult themes in there, but yeah, it's really good.
Cool.
I think I've watched this once. I mean, it's not that I hated it or anything. I remember it like being about, clearly the time travel aspect is these two people going into the 50s and bringing their their modern, I guess, view,
outlook,
and it
modern
starts
views,
to affect things around them, and all of a sudden we saw the trailer there where she's pointing out that things are starting to become color, which there's a lot of metaphor in this in that show, if I remember correctly. So yeah, I mean, I can't say anything about it. I can tell you that it's Pleasantville, and
it is Pleasantville.
Forget it, Jake. It's Pleasantville. No, I gotta say, what I said, I looked at several lists trying to rack my brain on this stuff, and this was one I saw and thought, oh, Pleasantville, and hadn't thought about it in a long time. This was the one movie I thought, I should rewatch that. Like, I remember having good feelings about it, and so looking at this list made me think I needed to rewatch it. So I'm perfectly fine with it being on the list.
Yeah, I remember liking this movie. I'm in the same boat. I think I should rewatch it someday, and I have no faith in Cliff being able to replace this with something better. But I'm still gonna fucking veto it because
wow,
I have to at least take a chance that he rolls the dice on something better than this in the top 10 time travel fucking movies of all time. So that's my one veto has to be used to clean up this mess, and so we're gonna see what can happen on this roll. I actually, before I was criticizing the roll the dice, by all means, roll the dice.
Well, the great thing about doing it this way is we get to talk about those movies, even if they get vetoed.
Oh, absolutely.
That's right.
And then we get to pick another one.
Oh, good. Do it again.
Try it again. So, okay. So
I feel confident what your number 2 pick is. I love it at 2. I don't have any problem with that. I just, this one, I got to take a shot at getting something better in here. So by all means, whatever you got, whatever you like.
Yeah, Pleasantville, I really do stand behind that. It's a really good movie. I
do not fight you on that.
Yeah, when I say roll the dice, I was a little. I'm like, we haven't defined the rules a whole lot. You know, you guys.
Oh, clearly,
Field
it's
of
a
Dreams.
fucking mess.
There are no rules until you get it wrong.
Right,
Then
exactly.
You get
Oh, by all means, you can do whatever you want. I can't fight you. There's nothing I can do on this.
No. So this one, I've got an even better chance of nailing something at number 7 here. So let's go ahead and take a look at this little film called Star Trek IV: The Voyage
Star Trek
Home.
4.
This is this is the rules apply. You know, you always heard about Star Trek movies. The even numbers are always really good. And for a long time, I haven't watched all the Star Trek movies, but for a long time in the 80s and the 90s, that was a good rule to stick by. After the Search for Spock, really like Wrath of Khan, but after the Search for Spock, I was a little bit let down, and it wasn't my favorite movie. But then this little thing came out to our theater, and it was more of a comedic take after such three previous very serious films. And it took a different approach, you know, having Spock make more jokes. He's, you know, back from the dead, and then they end up taking a trip around the sun, end up in like 1986 San Francisco or whatever it was, before the Federation, before anything Star Trek related has ever happened, and because they got to find some whales and save the planet, because there's this big weird black alien ship that's trying to find whales, and the only place to get them is in the past. So we get
where else are you gonna get whales?
Exactly. So they gotta build the containment, the aquarium in the stolen Klingon ship, because they're still on the lam, and they gotta find the nuclear vessels to get the power to do it, and it's just absolutely wonderful. Directed by Leonard Nimoy, released November 26, 1986. Got the whole crew back: Captain Kirk, William Shatner. We talked about Spock, Uhura, Mr. Scott, and his computer. Hello, computer. So many great lines.
That's literally. I don't remember much about this movie, but I remember as a kid thinking that was hilarious.
Absolutely hilarious.
Picking up the thing, and I still will do that. Like if my computer's freezing up, by computer.
Yes. So, I love this movie. And double dumbass on anybody that doesn't like Star Trek 4.
Double dumbass. Never heard that one. Man, I definitely feel like I played my freaking veto in the right spot. Far approve of this movie above Pleasantville in this spot. So by all means, you want to trek it up with some time travel here in the top half of the top 10, by all means, do it.
Yeah, I have no argument here either. I mean, for sure, it's a fun film. I love the Star Trek franchise. It's probably, when I look at Star Trek films, this is probably number 2 for me, maybe number 3, but it's really good. I mean, I had a good time watching it. The humor is the one thing that you're not used to with Star Trek,
right.
And they do a fine job of putting this whole fish out of water thing, like they're completely out of their element. They don't know what's going on, but they're trying their best to fit in to where Spock becomes a hippie, and he looks like a hippie. The most logical guy on the crew puts a headband on. He's walking around, and it's a fun Trek for a Star Trek film. So I don't think I went to the theaters and watched this one. Instead, I went to see 5 in the theaters. I think that was my first Trek in the theaters. Yeah. You're right. That was not a good one to go see. I would have loved to have seen this one. But I'm perfect. I like Star Trek 4 at number 7.
Yeah, it's good and fine. Glad to change that up there. So good job. So let's see.
Jordan,
you have the number 6 pick.
I doubt Star Trek was one of those 10 Seth needed.
No, but
and I'm not sure if this one is either.
Uh-oh.
But it's one of my favorites. I've watched this movie multiple times. I love it. From 1995, and director Terry Gilliam, 12 Monkeys. This is Bruce Willis. That string of hits he had, from Pulp Fiction to Sixth Sense to this was just a string of amazing movies he made in the 90s, and I love it. It's probably the hardest sci-fi, quote unquote, on my list. It's about a plague that has destroyed humanity, and humans, the ones that are left, have to live underground, and these scientists have devised a way to send people back. So Bruce Willis is a maybe not so willing volunteer to go back in time and try to figure out what happened that started this plague, and maybe we can avoid it. And they know it has something to do with this army of the 12 monkeys. And I don't know if you haven't seen it, I don't want to spoil anything about it, but he meets Madeline Stowe in the past. Brad Pitt in one of my favorite roles of his as a mental patient. And it's weird. It's Terry Gilliam from Monty Python and Brazil and all these very iconoclastic movies. So the visuals are crazy. The camera work is a little bit off kilter, but I think Bruce Willis's stoic kind of everyman performance really grounds it. Because he's Cole. He's mentally tough. He can survive this. So he goes back and he realizes he's probably just everyone's telling him he's crazy. He's not. He can't be from the future. So he starts to believe it himself. Maybe he is crazy, or is he not? And has a wonderful, a little bit of a bleak ending, but also kind of beautiful. And again, I won't spoil it, but it's that kind of science fiction where, the past and the future are written and you can't change it. That's kind of the rules of this one. So you realize when he completes his loop, basically, it's a really beautiful moment. So I don't know. I don't know where everybody else is on this one, but I know I had this one on VHS and watched it many times.
Incredible performance by Brad Pitt in a small role. Loved him playing the crazy guy. This movie was way up on my time travel list for a long time, and then just more movies have come out since then. It's just this felt. I rewatched this in 2020 when we started getting plagued ourselves. I was like, hey, I know just the movie to fit in, right? Get me in the mood here. Yeah, it's great. If you like time travel movies, you have to watch this movie. It is as 90s as it gets. The costuming is so cool and gritty and dark, and there's a good shot of just how 90s it is. I love this movie.
Personally, it's not that high up on my list. I think I've watched it like a handful of times, but not. I think you talk about the director and how weird the film is, and I think that's probably why I don't gravitate towards it. Right. I dig some weird films every once in a while, but this feels so bleak to me. It just feels out. It's one of those things where it's like there's the whole point, obviously, of the film is he's got to try and change the future, but I guess it does do a good job of keep you wondering, like, is he crazy? And then you see these things. Is he imagining these things? I don't know, but it's decent. I say anybody who wants to watch a time travel film that they haven't seen, definitely check out 12 Monkeys. It's it's everybody swears by it. I may not, but everybody else does.
Jesse, I'm with you.
Okay.
I don't like this movie.
It's way too bleak for Cliff. Cliff would never Never have this ever in
Yeah.
a million years.
I have seen it once.
Yeah, I would never expect this from you.
And normally Jordan and I are pretty on the same level, on the same wavelength.
I get this feeling
have
that
a
something's
veto.
going to happen.
I know I do.
That's at 6. Yeah, maybe
So-
you think Jordan can do better.
I do.
I get weirder. I could get weirder at 6. That's fine.
I'm
wanna
not
get
against.
nuts?
I'm not against weird.
You want to get nuts?
So I'll go ahead and veto this.
You're killing me.
I like that too. I like that.
Wow. All right.
This is not in my top 10, so I like to hear a veto. I think Jordan can do better.
I saw it on a bunch of lists very, very high, but it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a good time travel movie, but again, there's always I like another roll of dice here of Jordan possibly getting in my top 10.
I guess Time Cop it is.
Nice.
Well, if that's off the list, I guess I got to go with another weird. It's not from the 90s; it's from 2001. I gotta go with Donnie Darko.
Ooh. All right. Now it's funny because I have a soft spot for Donnie Darko, and it's, I guess when you compare 12 Monkeys to Donnie Darko, there's a few parallels there. There's bleakness all over Donnie Darko. That's for dang sure.
So I'm not entirely sure I can explain the plot. Directed by Richard Kelly, starring Jake Gyllenhaal as a young kid named Donnie Darko who starts seeing things and starts his mind. He can't trust his mind anymore. So it unfolds. Yeah, he talks to a giant rabbit named Frank, I think. So yeah, I'm not gonna dig a hole trying to explain Donnie Darko.
I was really intently listening, hoping you
but
would.
It involves a thing that happens that, I always enjoy that idea. He starts seeing threads appear of people's paths, and I always love that concept of we do have threads that we follow and ways we cross paths with each other and interact, and can we change those or tweak those? Can we go backwards and forwards on them? But a terrific cast. Had his sister Maggie Gyllenhaal, Jenna Malone, as very young actors. Mary McDonnell was wonderful as the mom. Drew Barrymore and Patrick Swayze in a role.
The GOAT.
Yeah, you might not expect from him, but the Patrick Swayze in this movie is terrific. So it's weird. It's metaphysical. You could argue all day what it means, if it is deep and profound, or if it's just goofy sci-fi. I'm not sure. It's all those things, and I love it. But do not doubt my commitment to Sparkle Motion.
It's been a long time since I've seen this, but I remember liking it, and yeah, I need to watch it again.
It's definitely got some high concept time travel elements to it, because I think the whole start of it is because of a paradox, if I remember correctly. Like, he was supposed to die, but he didn't. Right. And the actions that he takes results in him dying. And there's a big, it's upper concept stuff. There's a lot of mental health, at least vibes throughout the whole thing. I think he's on some meds, and he definitely looks like he's on some meds throughout the whole film. Like, you don't know if what he's seeing is being caused by the meds or what. And he's having these visions, and he doesn't know what is going on. And you're kind of along with him on the journey. You're trying to figure it out as he's trying to figure it out. And the answers don't come too easily, but you watch all these events kind of unfold around him. And I like it. I like the film. It wasn't high up on my list, but it's definitely in one of my honorable mentions because of how much I enjoyed it. It's just weird enough, I guess, that it's not bleak. I can't even, I'm trying to justify why I would pick this over 12 Monkeys, and I don't know if I can make an argument. But I like this one better. Maybe I don't know why. That's just going to have to be good enough.
Yeah, I like this up here. That's good.
Did have a sequel many years later. I don't believe I ever saw the sequel.
I did not know.
It's about a sister, I think.
Yeah, the sequel's called S Darko.
Yeah.
All right, so at number 6, we had Donnie Darko from Jordan. So that leaves us 5 picks left. I have 2 of them. I have the next 2 picks, and then these 3 will round out the top. As far as my 10 movies I wanted in here, let's see where I'm set. There's 2 of them, and I'm not putting any pressure on you guys because I know you're going to do what you're going to do. I feel like 2 of them have got to be in those top 3 picks that you guys come up with. I think between the 3 of you, you can get 2 of my top 5 movies in there. Had the other one was Terminator 2, and I'm going to put the other 2 in here. So I'm feeling pretty good about this list coming together at the end. There are going to be 3 movies, 2 or 3 movies that just don't make it at all. But that comes with the territory.
You're just going to have to deal with it.
Yeah. There's a chance one of them slips in there. I don't know what that other pick is going to be there in the top 3. But I can put these 2 movies on here, and I'm the one that should be putting them on here. So at number 5, my favorite Christopher Nolan movie, Interstellar.
Little late, Coop.
Yeah, we had a flash.
It's an Indian surveillance drone. Solar cells power an entire farm. What'd you do, Murph? She didn't do nothing.
Murphy's Law.
You're a well-educated man, Coop. And a trained pilot.
And an engineer.
The world doesn't need any more engineers. We didn't run out of planes and television sets. We ran out of food.
Dad, why did you name me after something that's bad?
Oh, we didn't.
Murphy's Law.
Murphy's Law doesn't mean that something bad will happen. It means that whatever can happen will happen. We must confront the reality that nothing in our solar system can help us. Now you need to tell me what your plan is to save the world. We're not meant to save the world. We're meant to leave it. And this is the mission we were trained for. I've got kids, Professor. Get out there and save them.
I have no idea when you're coming back.
I'm coming back.
Rewatched it the other day just to reinvigorate my love for it because I wanted to, be able to say what I liked about it. But I remember seeing this in the theater in 2014. Just an incredible score. There was a lot of controversy about how it was kind of even distorted, which he was kind of what he was shooting for. But it is, the story is, Earth is dying. And this movie is, the number one theme is survival. They need Matthew McConaughey's character Cooper to go into space and go out and find these scientists that have been sent out to search for other possible planets for us to survive on. And it's one of Jessica Chastain's earlier roles. She plays his daughter as she grows up without him. This is what I would call the time dilation movie that Jesse introduced the name of that concept to me, where what they do in space happens at a different rate than what happens on planets. So it's very crazy, and a lot of people don't like where it eventually goes, how conceptual it is with the idea of time travel, and when you're looking at the different laws of science and how you can include love and gravity into that, along with time, and how everything goes together, how you can communicate, who is actually controlling this, what beings are out there, sending messages and communicating with the people in the past. It's just, I love this movie, and there's some great, very emotional moments. His kids are growing up without him. I believe this is probably the first time I ever saw Timothy Chalamet plays his son at the beginning of the movie, and then is replaced by Casey Affleck as he grows up, which is a good casting as young and old. It's a very crazy concept, and I love it. It is exactly my type of time travel movie, and I love sci-fi movies too. On top of that, so I love all the stuff with the robots they have, TARS and Case, and just the way they move around and communicate, and the different settings these robots have. I love their spacesuits. All the ships are cool. Everything. Anne Hathaway's great in it. The reasons that they pick to do, to the choices they have to make that involve how this time dilation, like we can only do so many things, And then one of the craziest cameos ever made, an hour and a half into the movie, a A-list star shows up. If you've never seen it, I'm not even going to spoil it. It's just like it's just like you're not expecting the star to show up, and has a lot to add to the movie. So if you have never seen Interstellar, check it out, unless it's just not for you. But I love it. Has anybody else seen it or hate it or what?
I'm just in the boat. Christopher Nolan, I either really like the movie or it does nothing for me. And this one, I saw it once and it didn't really click with me. I like everybody in it. The idea is clever. I thought I would really like it. It just didn't quite do it for me. So I don't know if I need to give it a second go or it just wasn't for me. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. It's got a little cheese to it because it's very based on it's hard to swallow because it reaches into those concepts of just love, and it reaches for the believability of it, but the story is so sentimental that it sews it together for me.
Yeah, another, like you said, there's the time dilation concept it's a tough one to get over on general audiences, I guess I would say. But I think in this film they do a fine job of at least trying to represent what happens and how they have to deal with it, which is great. I think I've watched this a few times. It's a long movie, isn't it? And then
it's 249 or something like that.
Yeah, dude, it's definitely a long film.
I aged Jessica Chastain by the end of it.
Matthew McConaughey is great in it. I enjoyed it when I watched it. I don't have a whole lot to say about it because it's like it's a pretty serious film. Yeah. But there is a lot of emotion involved in it, and I mean I dug it. This is going to be where at number 4? You said
number five.
Number 5.
And I like the time dilation to explain that. Like one planet they go to, if they leave their main ship in orbit and go down to that planet, every hour they spend on that planet trying to investigate what they need to investigate results in 7 years everywhere else. So when they come back to that ship, the guy they left on board has aged a certain number of years depending on how long they were down there, and it's a pretty neat moment.
I would say that, yeah. I mean, as far as a big time director taking a concept like that and putting it into film, there's been other films that have done stuff like that. But Christopher Nolan doing this with Interstellar is great,
and it's beautiful. The movie is beautiful. Like these planets are just spectacular, breathtaking.
That's usually what you can count on with Christopher Nolan is these beautiful settings. I'm trying to think of, was he the one that did Tenet as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was just too crazy for me.
Okay.
That was just a step too far for me. I'm sure someday I'll watch it again, maybe and get more out. But I was lost half that movie.
But that goes to show you that Nolan is a visually impressive director. He takes something like that and tries to put it on film and have people understand that concept. It's an undertaking. But I'll give Interstellar the nod for actually doing a decent job with it.
Yeah, I've never seen this movie. In fact, apparently, I was honestly, when I saw the title, I was thinking of a Will Smith movie or something where he goes to space with the sun or something. I don't know.
I think that's After
Welcome to Earth.
I don't know. So
After Earth.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah. So I've not seen this movie.
Yeah, well, maybe someday.
You've got a veto.
That's number 5 on the list.
Somebody have a veto left?
Jordan has two.
Jordan's got 2. You're the only one.
He's got 2.
I must protect number 1.
He's the only one with any vetoes, and he has 2. The only thing left other than those 2 vetoes is Jesse has a veto override. If you misuse your veto, he's going to step in, and then you can still veto it.
Cliff hasn't used his veto.
Yeah.
Yeah, he vetoed you.
Yeah. Yeah. Your 12 monkeys.
Jesse vetoed. Yeah.
No,
I
didn't.
I did veto you back in.
Jesse vetoed Field of Dreams.
Oh, that's right, Field of Dreams.
Oh,
yeah.
All right, now that confusion is over.
Everybody vetoed.
I'll have my final pick.
So I owe everybody a veto. Everybody's
yeah. There's your big chance at number 4. My final pick. 2012, director Ryan Johnson. It's Looper.
I almost mentioned this when we were talking 12 Monkeys. Came real close to it.
Yeah, I love this movie. It's like I said, Ryan Johnson. It's got Bruce Willis, Joseph Gordon-Levitt as young Bruce Willis. It's just a futuristic action thriller. Time travel will be invented, but it will be illegal and only available in the black market. When the mob wants to get rid of someone, they send their target 30 years into the past, where a looper, a hired gun, mops up. It's good until the mob decides to close the loop, sending Joe's future self back for assassination. Got Emily Blunt does a great job in this, and there was a kid in this movie. Is Kid Blue? Maybe is that? No, that's I don't know the kid's name in it, but the kid in it is really good. Like plays Emily Blunt's son, who has like a little bit of power and stuff, and he does a great job in this, but. I just love this movie. It's a classic time travel movie to me. Them meeting in the diner is great and all that. The whole thing. The ending. The biggest thing to me, something like this, is you have to pull it off at the end. And this has an incredible ending, a great payoff. What are you going to do in this situation? How are you going to solve this problem? And you have to make a very tough decision, and they do it in the heat of the moment. And it's just a great ending. Paul Dano's in it.
I've seen this one.
I just love it. I love it. I thought they did a good job with making Joseph Gordon-Levitt look like.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate the commitment he had to, because Bruce Willis can just sleepwalk through a role at this point.
Right.
He can just roll out of bed and be Bruce Willis, but like Joseph Gordon-Levitt had to go through prosthetics. He changes his voice. I'm sure he took, he had to study how he moved and talked. So yeah, Joseph Gordon-Levitt had a whole level of difficulty that I think he pulls off.
Yeah, I think I've watched this twice. Did not make my list. I'll just put it that way. It is a good film. I love when the future self comes back and interacts with the past self. That as a concept in time travel is fun. It's fun to watch, and it's neat to watch how some creators or the people who are writing it handle that. Because in some certain films, if you interact with the other person, something terrible could happen, or they could be pals and hang out and do so, hang out together. That's kind of what this centers around, is him dealing with his past self and them trying to basically come to terms with each other. It's been a while since I had seen it, but I remember when I did watch it, I liked it. I wonder, like, for myself, like, if when we look at the stats, Jordan, keep track of the stats. We got the pie charts and all that, but I'm curious as to where most of my what decades mine fall in. I could probably look at that list and tell you easily, but as we get further into like the 2000s, 2010s, 2020s, whatever, it's like the time travel itself, they can use that in the films, but for some reason I don't appreciate it as much.
Yeah,
and it doesn't.
I know what you mean. It's like,
okay,
I don't know if it's nostalgia or what, but
it's nostalgia.
I remember. I remember watching this particular movie, and I liked it. I remember thinking, "Oh, that's kind of weird," but I never had any desire to go back and watch it again. I don't know how much moonlighting he watched to play that role, but of early Bruce Willis, but I mean, I just remember, that was pretty good.
Good. What's on there? You gonna do something about it, Jordan?
I'm leaning more toward them. Like I remember thinking the concept was brilliant and really wanting to see it and really being excited about it, and then watching it and be like, okay, yeah, that was fine. So yeah, it just didn't. It wouldn't have been in my lists. This is very high up the list, but again, I wouldn't want to take someone's favorite movie and throw it off the list like some cold, callous person does.
That would be tough. Their favorite. If it was the highest on your list, that would be tough. I was going to go back and look and see where it is in my top 100. It's really high up on there too. Yeah, I don't know.
Are you a fan of the director? Like, are you a fan of Rian Johnson at all?
I freaking love Last Jedi. I love Rian Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Knives Out.
Great film.
He's great.
Yeah, I'm a Last Jedi guy too. So.
Yep, he's the man. I can't find it on here. I thought it was pretty high on my list, but
so no veto, Jordan.
And it's pure time travel. Like it deserves.
I think that's why these two are up there for me. Like it is. Those two movies I just said are just freaking time travel to the max. Like it is, this is a time travel movie. Here are all the pieces. One is super sci-fi, one is super stylistic. So just whether it works for you or not. Works for me.
All right, so Seth's job is done. He's just got to sit back and
enjoy the rest. Fret. Just fret.
See if it plays out the way he wants.
So
if the puppets have danced to his song.
And watch my marionettes dance.
All right. Well, then, so it's my turn now, right? Number 3?
Number 3.
Yeah, Okay, let me just tell you here. Looper is at my number 16 of all time movies.
All time?
Yes.
Wow. So that would be, is that your top Rian Johnson film?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
all right.
Yeah, he's only got so many freaking movies.
Well, I know. I didn't know if you had Last Jedi at like 15 or something.
It was like 100 or something, around 100.
All right. Okay. Well, okay. So this is my last pick, my final pick. We're coming into top 3 territory.
How much do you trust Cliff and I?
Exactly.
That's where it comes down to.
Exactly. I have a Monica. So here's the thing. I know that I've got 2 people in front of me. One person I have a real, I don't know. I don't know.
I think you can do what you want here, Jesse. It's their ass. If they do it, whatever, we complain till we're dead.
What I'm going to do here. This is a 1993 film.
I think you're wasting your pick here,
bro.
I'm telling you, you're wasting your pick. Cliff is going to pick that.
The thing is that I look at my own lists, and I know what else is on there and what I believe is going to be picked. I only have 2 movies that I really want on this list.
Right.
Left.
So pick something else.
So now I go and pick one of my like sentimental favorites.
You don't have anything else? You don't even like time travel movies? You don't have nothing else?
Bro, I've got plenty of them sitting here, but it's like
anything for 2019.
None of these.
Got anything for 2019 that looks good?
I say
I don't
go
know
for
if this
it.
is going to happen. I don't.
You got to lay your cards on the table.
This is the way it's going to happen. Okay, it's got to. We got to.
He's gonna fucking pick Pleasantville 2.
What the hell else is he gonna do? So okay, all right. Here's the thing. You're absolutely certain that if I go ahead and pick one of my side lists here, the one I'm about to drop.
Well, I don't know. Maybe you're gonna make a mess too. I don't
Jesse,
care.
I'm
out of this. Do whatever you want.
Jesse, I've got 2 vetoes left. I got your back.
Okay.
We'll make this work. We'll make this work.
All right.
Okay.
Here,
you
all
put
right.
on the movie that's on your heart.
Okay. So this is all right.
1993.
Oh damn! Don't encourage. You're the one doing 1993. I need you to do 1993. No, do whatever you want. I'm out of this. I can still complain. I've always got that.
In order for it to be a time travel movie, does it have to be a theatrical release?
Frequently asked questions wasn't a theatrical
Okay,
release.
all right. Does it have to be a certain length of time?
No, I mean over an hour. What are we gonna do? Is this like the freaking commercial? I love this commercial where the guy is blah blah blah. And number 3.
We got 3 picks left. This seems pretty easy to me.
It's getting sketchy. All of a
Okay.
sudden.
All right. Here you go. This is.
I'm starting to tell
trusting.
you, go back with your first instinct.
No. You guys, here we go.
Does it have to be a movie?
Someone is going to have to come back to the future and fix this.
Yeah.
All right.
Now I'm like, let's let Cliff do something else. You go ahead and go with your first instinct.
Someone is going to open a time traveler from 100 years from now is going to open that door behind Cliff.
Right. Snap his neck.
Strangle him.
Snap his neck. Put his shirt on.
Oh man,
it's me.
Okay, give me.
If I
a
was
second.
lazy, I'd walk over there and walk in your back door, Cliff.
All right.
Go for it.
Here we go. Okay. I tell you what, if one of those 2 that I have on this list does not make that top 2, I'm going to be so
do
upset.
it then. Just pick one of them.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Here's how this is going to work.
All right.
After all that griping I did about 2000, 2010s, 2020s, 2014, Tom Cruise.
Oh, thank God. Somehow I got one in here. I slipped one in here.
Edge of Tomorrow.
Yay.
I watched this multiple times. It is a great action flick.
What I am about to tell you sounds crazy. But you have to listen to me. Your very lives depend on it.
This is not the end.
You see, this isn't the first time. Now, we've had this conversation. What day is it?
Judgment Day. You just came in with the fresh recruits.
This is not the end.
The invasion will fail, along with every soldier you are sending. we lose everything.
Come find me when you wake up.
You do know what's happening to me.
What happened to you happened to me. You hijacked that power. I need your help.
With what exactly?
Winning the war. We can do this. Just come here every day and I'll train you.
It's very much in the vein of another movie that I won't mention right now, but let's just say Tom Cruise, he has to relive the same day over and over, dies at the end of each day to try and figure out how to eliminate an alien threat. All right. So as far as time travel goes, it's not him physically going back in time. It is his, I guess, his consciousness going back in time. He remembers what happens to him, and then he starts to realize that there's a way to stop this alien threat. It's a great, fast-paced, a lot of awesome visual effects that happen in this thing. I watch it with my kids. You know, the trailer pops up or something like that, they're like, oh, let's watch it. You know, it's one of those films that it's exciting from the beginning to the end. And I think it was worthy of being on the list. In top three, I'm just going to say I like it being on the list. I'm not going to argue its spot, but I'm going to say Edge of Tomorrow belongs on there. Tom Cruise, Emily Blunt, Edge of Tomorrow. Live, die, repeat.
Based on All You Need Is Kill, the manga, which I wish they would have just originally named it in the first place. I saw this in a theater. We were on vacation back then and freaking loved it. This is in my top 10 time travel movies. I just had to let it go at one point. I don't have enough of my own picks, but I'm so glad you got it in here. Got Bill Paxton is great, and that, you know, just it's so good. It's so good. I've watched it a million times.
Yeah, to watch
Love
him
that
be
it's
like,
on here.
He grows from like this know nothing military person.
He's just like a
He's sitting there as a punishment.
Not much of a tryhard. He just kind of coasting through the military.
Right. He's sitting there like as a punishment. And then he just continues. He starts to see what's going on with himself. And then he realizes, oh, we could use this as a weapon. But he's got to get good, bro. He's got to get good. And that's pretty much a lot of what the movie is him trying to learn how to basically fight these aliens off. And it's an entertaining film. So
I'll tell you what, the best thing about you picking this is there's no way in a million years either one of them would have picked it. So I'm so glad you stepped up.
Well, here's my confession. I have never seen this.
Wow.
All right.
I'm not surprised, but
I watched, what's the one? Is it Oblivion or something like that with Morgan Freeman?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think I watched that movie thinking it was this one.
And that's different, yeah.
And then got to the end, like, that wasn't the one everyone liked.
I like Oblivion, but it's nowhere near this.
We attempted to watch this movie one time.
What does that mean?
I mean, we could not get
like
through it. No.
Oh.
But I don't have any vetoes.
Wow. So can I ask like what the issue was?
They look at what he picked. He doesn't like these types of movies. He doesn't. It's not Amblin. It's not. It's just.
Yeah.
It's not his type of movie.
Mm-mm.
All right. Okay. All right then.
There's like a group of movies that some of them are on this list that I could not tell you there's any difference in them. Okay. Just in my head, like they all kind of, in my head, they probably didn't, but in my head, they all came out about the same time, kind of had all the same people in it. I don't know why, but yeah, and I'm not a Tom Cruise guy.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Wait, he's running. Look at him run.
He's running in a mech suit. Come on.
I mean, this is the amount of like, it's just like warfare Most of the film is warfare, and
It's
him
like a
trying
video.
to-
It's like a video game, and
Yes.
he keeps getting further and further in the level. A lot of funny stuff that goes along with that. It's a time loop.
But again, this is I feel like that's the kind of movie that this list was made for.
My gosh, yeah. I feel like vindicated. Like this, I got a bonus on here. Something out of my top 10 got in the top 10. It's exciting. So that takes us down to.
That probably means that something else ain't going to make the top 10.
Yeah, well, like I said, I can complain forever. So Cliff has the number 2 pick. I feel so solid about this because I think Cliff wants to get to pick this.
This is. Talked about edging tomorrow. I'm edging my seat.
Are you edging right now?
Huh. Because I think you might be surprised.
No.
Go for it. Do whatever, man. It's your pick.
So I originally had 4. I added Field of Dreams. That was 5 on my list. I had one more that I had taken off my list, and then I kind of put it back.
You've picked about 2 dozen.
Yes. But
somehow,
this one,
you've had twice as many picks as anybody
yes,
else.
yes.
Because we hated enough of them.
That's right. So, number 2.
I'm stunned. I can't imagine what we all think or you should pick. I can't imagine you not picking it. So unless this is a real curveball, I don't know what's coming.
I really don't think this is a curveball. I did see this on just about every list. It's a movie we've talked about before. It's a movie we've mentioned on this show, on this list, tonight. And that movie is Planet of the Apes.
Talk about it. Go ahead. Tell us what's so.
Charlton Heston. This is probably the most shocking in my watching a movie history. This is probably the most shocking thing that I was never spoiled the first time before I watched this. My dad, I talked about this before. My dad loved these movies. Loved watching them as a kid. He ran them when he worked at the movie theater, ran all of them, seen them multiple times. I've seen them multiple times. Classic film, original idea, shocking ending. Yes, Charlton Heston. They did it. Those damn dirty apes.
So this will be another one of those time dilation movies where they're out in space.
Right.
You almost don't realize it's a time travel movie until the end. Right.
Right.
So.
Right. I was just watching Angry Video Game Nerd today, Cinemassacre's YouTube channel. He was sitting down talking to Joe Bob Briggs, and the discussion they kind of leaned into at one point was about VHS covers that spoiled the end of the movie. And he was talking about how on the VHS cover for Planet of the Apes sat the Statue of Liberty buried in the sand. They also talked about Night of the Living Dead apparently had the very end. Yeah, there you go. So
it's on my desk right now. I have a little Statue of Liberty.
Yes.
Nice. Very nice. But yeah, I think I watched this as a kid, for myself. I remember I was over at like a friend's house and I was probably 8 or what in the world is oh, nice. You would have.
I didn't see you playing with your toys.
You went and did it.
Dr. Zayas, Dr. Zayas, Dr. Zayas.
But yeah, I think I remember watching this over at a friend's house, and as a kid watching movies like this, it was tough for me to watch anything past like the late 70s. But this one captivated me. I remember watching it and going, okay, I'm into this. What's going on? Well, how's this guy going to get away from these apes? And then we see at the end what, the turn of events, what he realizes. But yeah, it's a time dilation. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say that movie came out in like 1968 or 69 or something.
Right.
And what a novel concept, and the civilization the apes had developed, and into different sects, and different types of apes, and it was I don't know. I was a kid, but it was very, very interesting concepts, and it's always fun to me not to be. We talk about this. Being spoiled today is just, that's just part of your experience. And for me, this was just one of those things that I caught me at the right age, caught me at the right moment. I think I watched it on like a Saturday or Sunday afternoon on TV the first time. I was just like, what in the world is this? What is happening? Knowing that it was an older film, especially as a kid, a lot of times your reaction is, oh God, my kids do that. Oh God, it's, not something current. No way I'm going to be interested in that. But yeah, with the astronauts and then, so, pretty cool though. So I don't know, Jordan, I know you like these movies, so I don't know if you're willing to.
I don't like this movie. I love this movie. It is in my top 10. My definitive top is absolutely.
I have a folder on my phone with 100 of his top 10 movies.
Eventually, one day I will reveal my 100 top 10s. But this one is in my no fooling, no fake out, no kidding top 10. I love this movie.
Yeah,
so that would make it really hard to veto it.
Yeah, I never.
But for the good of the list, should I?
I never like. This is one of those movies like I can appreciate, but I was never at the right age. Like when it was on TV in the 70s, I was too young to like appreciate it. It was boring to me. And then by the time, I just kind of missed the boat on it. I don't know why, but I mean, I've seen it and it's fine. I'm not a big fan of the Apes movies, but I definitely see I like the twist ending and things like that, but save the second pick, save the world, Jordan. That's what I say.
But I feel like there's another movie that we all love. Like this is a movie that half of us love. I feel like there's at least another movie that we all love. Am I crazy?
I think
Cliff has a Cheshire cat smile.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think Cliff knows that he can still stick it to you one more time, and you have another veto.
Yeah, I think I got to veto it. Sorry, Cliff.
All right.
Wow. I've talked about a lot of movies tonight.
You have.
You have indeed.
Mission accomplished. Now just
you were doing it. You were doing it.
Oh my!
Just freaking God. Wear the tread off them tires and drive us on through here.
Before I pick anything, I think maybe this has been. I don't remember what. No, I think this is. We've all used for the first time. We've all kind of used those videos. I think I'm trying to remember if
we found a way to freaking
normally
break them out.
Yeah, not everybody uses them. We have a bunch of leftover stuff, and tonight we didn't. We really talked it out and really went through a bunch of movies, which is interesting. And I think that's kind of what we've kind of been experimenting with, trying to get to that point.
Yeah.
So.
Here we are.
So Jesse's got one.
Not as fun as I thought it was to be here.
Well, it's a lot more fun sometimes to be a player than a spectator at this point in the game.
Yeah.
And Jesse still got one override. Jordan's got
that. I don't see that getting used because he'd have to agree with you and disagree with Jordan vetoing it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Jordan still got another veto, and which means I could, really have some fun here, and
I'm saying.
and pick another movie, and why not? Let's go with Avengers Endgame.
Endgame.
This is interesting. Now you freaking did it. That's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt. Okay, first off, say off the bat that this is another one of those movies that I wanted. This was in there, like this was in play. I was kind of expecting somebody to pick it. I kind of expected it to be on the list. now with only 2 picks left, this was not going to be on the list. Like, this is an amazing pick at this point because you're going to make Jordan have to fret here.
Right.
Like,
exactly. And we all love this movie, right? I mean, we can all agree this is a amazing finale to.
This is freaking a top. It might be.
Right.
I think it's like my top 14 movie of all time. So.
Yeah,
dude, it has. There are so many like things going for this film. Now, is it as good as Infinity War? I don't know. I don't believe so. But when you're throwing this onto a time travel list, there can be some arguments that could be had. I don't know about the whole time travel aspect of it, though.
Yeah,
there's
time travel is just kind of an element of it. It's not.
Right.
This is not a time travel movie. It's a movie with some time travel in it. I feel like. And,
I don't know.
And there's a lot of that on this list, but it's way further back than number 2.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty major plot point. I mean, without the time travel, you have.
Yeah, I agree.
Movie.
I agree with what they're saying. I also agree with what you're saying, Cliff. It's like they decided several movies before that this was where they were going.
Right.
To be able to use this time travel.
Right.
To fix all this.
Yes.
So, I mean, this is the most legitimate pick you've come up with.
One of the biggest film franchises as well. I mean, really, the Avengers film franchise is probably the top.
At least right now.
Yeah, Avatar. Watch out now. But
I mean, I love this movie.
Let's talk. Just
they
real
have
quick,
to discover time travel first.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So they discover the time travel. We have to test it out. There's some time travel there in order to make everything better, or at least attempt to, because we've screwed it up. And then thus the time travel becomes the main, that's the main vessel. And then we get to, revisit some, much like Back to the Future 2, we get to revisit some very memorable moments and add to it.
All of this, I agree. All of this, I love this movie, and yet there's still 2 time travel movies that should be above this.
Yeah, I thought
I knew you. I thought I knew you. How long have we been doing this show? I thought I knew you.
Personally, I mean, I had this in the back of my head, but it wasn't. As far as my list goes, it wasn't going.
I would have loved to see. I would have loved to seen it up at 9 or 10. So as a time travel movie, just because I love the movie so much. But so this is really putting the heat on Jordan.
Yeah, the man with the comic book store has to really think about vetoing a comic book movie.
And I can't.
Let's not forget, at number 10, right? At number 10, we all agreed Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure fit right about that.
I would have rather had this there.
And you're saying now,
I wish we could push it off the list and put this at number 10.
Jordan, do you don't have any more vetoes, or do you only?
He has one more veto.
I do, but
he can't trust Cliff.
Cliff's a madman. He's holding a detonator in his hand.
We've got to go with what we feel.
At this point,
we have to. His demand.
Quite possible he's not going to pick what we want him to pick.
Yeah.
And he can do much worse than this.
The fact that it's going to be left off the list is really, really heartbreaking if that's the case. But I mean, if I had a choice, somebody said, hey, it's either that or Avengers Endgame. And as much as I'd want the other one, and the odds are against that one actually happening.
I mean, he just is not letting us. We don't know what he's going to do.
I know. There's no pattern. I don't know what other time travel
the last
rom-coms
list
we could
that
get
Cliff
in here.
was ever.
The pattern is movies I like.
And that's
I
respect it.
I just can't. I'm speechless. I give up. Go ahead. Do what you will, peeps.
I can't. Jordan?
It's on you.
I mean, we've pulled teeth trying to get him to say 2 words, but I'm just gonna leave it, and we're gonna get angry tweets.
Okay, as far as it being on the list, again, some of the moments that happen in this justify it being a great movie. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's got that going for it, and if you're going to leave it there, it's
sometimes
I'm fine.
And like Back to the Future 2, it goes back and touches on movies we love,
right?
And revisits moments and tweaks little things.
I think that
is a challenge.
There's a serious conversation that we're having right now about, as silly as this is, and our lists are. There is a serious conversation just arguing what we've already said tonight in this movie, and how, in the same way, how could we have left this off the list?
Mm-hmm.
Like we had 20 picks. How did we leave this one off? And that's
because you picked a bunch of bullshit.
I love the movies that I picked.
Well, I mean, yeah,
and
but
you
then
guys
you're also
vetoed
saying
a whole
how
bunch of them. You guys vetoed a whole bunch of those movies. And Jordan still has a veto. So I'm just saying that, like,
if I veto this, it'll be a 10th pick for Cliff. It'll be Cliff's he will have an entire top 10.
Oh no!
He's had 9 picks so far.
This is all settled by the roll of die. Can you believe that? If that doesn't speak to like destiny, density.
You are my density. All right, so that does it. Groundhog Day is not on our list, everybody. Sorry.
Unfreaking believable.
Yeah, but movies that are a lot like Groundhog Day, but not the original.
I guess Edge of Tomorrow is our close we're going to get to Groundhog Day on this.
Yeah, and
I'm
Groundhog okay
Day.
Was
that, Groundhog Day on your radar, on your list anyway?
Oh, yeah. I fully expected you to veto Avengers.
So you would have.
You can only play with fire so much, you're going to get burned.
Yeah.
He's the wild card, the madman.
You can only wild card it so long.
He's playing chicken with all of us, and he ain't
wow.
All right, so no suspense whatsoever, no Groundhog Day whatsoever, no Bill Murray whatsoever. The number 1 time travel of all time, Flash enters the Speed Force. Zack Snyder's Justice League. Right, everybody? Everybody.
Yes. We did it.
That was the sound of me exasperatingly not trying to leave the podcast immediately.
No, I think this is the consensus number 1, I would assume, from all of us. Classic, the definitive time travel movie, a perfect film, a wonderful family film, an adventure, a comedy, a sci-fi romp, Back to the Future.
Mom? I had a horrible nightmare. Dreamed that I went back in time.
Well, safe and sound now, back in good old 1955.
1955? Doc, are you telling me that you built a time machine? What about DeLorean?
The way I see it, if you're gonna build a time machine into a car, why not do it with some style?
Hey, McFly!
This is the big one, the one I've been waiting for all my life.
You're my mom. You're my mom.
What do you want? Marty, we're sending you back to the future.
I almost laughed out loud when you said wonderful family film, because I had a my family devastated me when I watched this movie, but oh my gosh, I like I said, Jesse, you're tied to Back to the Future too. I think it's just about age. Like I saw this in the theater when I was 13 years old. I was the perfect age for this movie to just be, want to be Michael J. Fox. It's like I was a little older than you guys when this came out, and it was the biggest thing on earth. I was one of the kids got the Volterra skateboard. I was swept up in this. So, yeah, it is a top 5 movie for me all time.
Yeah, great movie. We had recorded this off of HBO at some point in the 80s, and I wore that. It had Back to the Future, Money Pit, and Space Camp.
Oh, wow.
And that was that tape, and I remember wearing that tape out, watching those 3 movies endlessly.
That would have been your number 2 pick if I'd vetoed. You would have come back with Space Camp.
Yeah.
Time dilation. Oh, man.
Yeah, I adore this movie, but I don't think anyone here loves it more than Jesse himself. So what do you think? Why does this have such a place in your heart and shelves of collectibles that you have collected?
Right. I think I happened upon this when my parents went over to a friend's house. They were just throwing the TV on while they were playing cards or whatever. And I think this was an HBO deal where it showed up on the TV, and I couldn't have been more than 8 or 9 years old when I was watching it. I think maybe a little bit older than that. But I was amazed at this concept of somebody going back and talking to their parents while they were children or while they were teenagers, and what kind of an experience that would be. Michael J. Fox, I mean, one of the hottest actors of the 80s, Teen Wolf. You can name
Alex P. Keaton,
Family Ties. And his chemistry with Christopher Lloyd as this weird father figure, you're kind of wondering, like, it never does get explained as to why he's hanging out with Doc Brown, but you just kind of learn to accept it. And the weird interactions that he has with his family as he goes back in and screws something up. Oh my goodness, there's going to be a paradox. This is what is the future going to hold for him now that Doc Brown obviously knows he's disappearing from existence. And you're along with Marty McFly for the ride to try and figure out how to get back to the future. The DeLorean, I mean, what a perfect way to get across a time machine. I think the original script called for a refrigerator. I believe that they were going to detonate a nuclear bomb. They had to get this time travel device near a nuclear test site or something like that. And then they finally came up with the idea of, having this thing be mobile, having it be a car. And it's probably like,
how many kids would have gotten trapped in a refrigerator in the 80s?
Yeah.
Right, dude.
There would have been a rash of
they would have had to make another Punky Brewster special episode.
Punky could not have saved us.
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding. So, when you think of classic cars in the 1980s, I mean, this has got to be top 2. The DeLorean, the Back to the Future DeLorean's up there. So there's so much that this movie has done for me.
The soundtrack, the fashion,
right?
The quotes, every scene is iconic,
right? And you could tell at the end of this, they set it up for a sequel. But I don't think their plans were to have a sequel. They were just going to kind of leave it open-ended. And the further adventures of Marty McFly and Doc. But, they finally start getting a groundswelling for a sequel, and then we get parts 2 and 3. But Back to the Future 1 is, when anybody looks at the trilogy that you talk to, just about anybody's going to tell you that is the peak of the trilogy. Back to the Future 1 sets the tone. It's a really, really good time travel movie, and it deserves to be number one, and I'm glad it's there.
We did it. I guess.
Only one. I say this is like people. This is a perfect screenplay. It's so well constructed. It's such clockwork. Fit together. But there's just one thing I've never understood about this movie. Maybe Jesse, you can clear it up.
Okay.
When Marty comes back at the end, he's been in the 50s. That Marty Prime. Okay, original Marty. He comes back. His family's wealthy and happy. He's got a truck. He's going to the lake for the weekend. There had to have been a Marty in that timeline who owned that truck and made those plans. Where did he go?
Oh, well, I mean,
my theory is that Doc had to take him out. Doc had to sneak around and kill the other Marty, so the original Marty could take his place.
To quote Ant-Man from Endgame, Back to the Future is bullshit.
The theory that you're talking about there, Jordan, actually is something that I've read, where Doc is actually killing Marty's in order to make sure that the timeline doesn't get screwed up. That's one thing that I read, but
probably
anyway,
led to like Rick and Morty and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
One of those Martys, I think, was Eric Stoltz.
Yeah, he was the first one we had to kill.
I learned something just listening to an audio book here about the film. There's a point, I think, where Biff gets punched. I think it's in the diner in part 1. So Biff gets punched in the face. That is Eric Stoltz actually hitting Thomas F. Wilson. He actually hit him in the face as an accident.
Still in there.
Yeah, but it's there. That's Eric Stoltz hitting him. Eric Stoltz was originally going to be Marty. I love the film to death. I've read so much, just like you said. I've got a lot of collectibles. My wife has been really hooking me up with some of the NECA stuff. I think it's NECA, I believe.
Yeah.
Been getting a lot of those figures, and it's just one of those iconic films that shaped me to today. It's really it is where I learned that I enjoy science fiction, and I love this as a plot device that they use in some narratives, and I like to see how other people use it. But Back to the Future is always going to be one of the favorites for me, that and the way that it's used.
Robert Zemeckis, the director, Bob Gale, the screenwriter, and have stuck to their guns. No reboots, no remakes. We're just going to leave it as pure as it is.
There it is.
I love it, guys. Lots of fun.
Not at all what some of us may have expected, but we talked a lot of movies.
A lot on there.
Yeah, we did. A
lot of movies talked about. Whew. I'm exhausted.
Me too.
Heavy.
It's heavy.
You know what I hate? Off the list.
I hate manure.
Yeah. All right, so let's count them down real quick here. 20, Army of Darkness. 19, Midnight in Paris. 18, Idiocracy. 17, Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes. 16, Frequently Asked Questions About Time Travel. 15, 13 going on 30. 14, Run Lola Run. 13, Frequency. 12, Flight of the Navigator. 11 was Field of Dreams, replaced by Terminator 2, Judgment Day. 10, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. 9, Safety Not Guaranteed. 8, Back to the Future 2. 7 was Pleasantville, replaced by Star Trek 4, Voyage Home. 6 was 12 Monkeys, vetoed and replaced by Donnie Darko. 5 was Interstellar. 4, Looper. 3, Edge of Tomorrow. 2, Planet of the Apes, vetoed and replaced by Avengers Endgame. And at number 1, Back to the Future. would have liked to seen Groundhog Day in there, but other than that, I'm happy with how we ended up, and I hope everyone else is too. And I hope that some of our listeners let us know what we missed, because I'm sure there's something out there I haven't heard of. I need to check out. Any honorable mentions? I'll say mine. One, I'm surprised we had 20 picks, and well, I mean, not with the pickers here, honestly, but I thought Jesse might throw Primer out there.
That's an interesting, like, independent, real, like, kind of low budget time travel, but
it really sparked a lot of people thinking about
it did.
New ways to do time travel. It is a thinker. Other than Groundhog Day, my highest ranked one that I really would have liked to get on there, and I'm surprised that I could have seen Cliff picking this one. Maybe he's never seen it, or maybe he just didn't like it. But this felt like the closest to a Cliff type time travel movie is About Time with Donald Gleason and Rachel McAdams, Margot Robbie. Nick and I watched this like a million times. Like, it is such a pleasant time travel movie. Have any of you guys seen it?
It sounds familiar. I'm pulling it up on IMDb just to see what I've seen, but off the top of my head, no.
It's what if every moment in your life came with a second chance. Donald Gleason, who's great in it. Night after another unsatisfactory New Year's party, his father, Bill Nighy, I'm not sure how to say his name, but he's great in it, tells his son that the men in the family has always had the ability to travel through time. They can't change history, but he can change what happens and has happened in his own life. So he decides to make his world a better place by getting a girlfriend. Sadly, that turns out to not be as easy as he thinks. But just like he can go back and change things, but it's going to greatly affect. There's a lot of repercussions from what he does, which is what you want from a time travel movie. It's so good. It's very sentimental. And I think you'd like it. This would be my highest rec for you, Cliff, and for all of you probably, for a time travel movie to see if you haven't seen it, because it's the only one. It's my highest rated one that didn't make the list.
Yeah. I had very little left that I jotted down.
There are very little movies left.
Time Bandits, classic 80s movie. The Butterfly Effect.
Oh, I love that movie.
That was back in the
man,
back in the day.
That'd blow my mind, because I forgot about that movie. That used to be really high on my time travel movies, and I didn't even think of it.
Yeah, and then I'd seen some people mention Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
That's good.
Yeah,
it's a time travel-y thing.
Yeah, but that's it.
I like those movies.
I just had Austin Powers. I mean, was there any bigger movie than Austin Powers for those couple of years?
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody was quoting and trying to do the impression. It was the biggest thing in pop culture. And I wanted to shout out Hot Tub Time Machine. not that it's a great movie. I did enjoy it. I liked it. But it has my favorite gag of any time travel movie whatsoever. It has Crispin Glover as the bellhop.
Yeah.
And when they meet him, he's missing an arm.
Yes.
All right. So they go back in time and he has two arms. And throughout the entire movie, he keeps getting into situations where you think he's going to lose his arm, but the elevator's going to close. And, oh, wow, that was close. So, like, the movie teases you a dozen times. So, like, how did this guy lose his arm? And it was adorable. I love it.
I do love that. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Great gag.
All right. I'll share my screen and I'll kind of run down my honorable mentions. Okay. So now I'm just, there's some of these, I don't know if they, I even would have thought about putting them on a list, but I mean, Trancers. You guys ever see Trancers?
No.
Okay. All right.
Never
it is a
heard
time. Okay. Tim Thomerson, and it's actually a film franchise from, I want to say Full Moon. Is that the name? Full Moon Studios. Anyway, stars Helen Hunt, one of her earlier roles. A guy goes back in time, basically is sent back into his like grandfather's self. So it's interesting. It's Tim Thomerson. It's pretty funny. Somebody mentioned Time Cop.
Yeah.
And by golly, I would have probably tried to put that on the list. Van Damme at like one of the hottest, he was a hot movie star at that point in time.
Peak Van Damme.
Right. The Final Countdown from 1980, starring Martin Sheen, I believe. Kirk Douglas, Martin Sheen, Catherine Ross. You guys seen this?
Oh, no, I've never seen it, but I've always wanted to.
Oh, it's a great film. The USS Nimitz ends up back in right before the events of Pearl Harbor. And they have to make a decision as to whether they're going to stop it or not. And they're, of course, it's a military unit, and they've got to try and figure out what to do. And it's pretty intense. The Final Countdown, good film.
Cool.
Let's see. And then the only other one that I think that I had a bookmarked. I mentioned this to Jordan a long time ago. The movie, as I knew it, was called The Grand Tour. And this starred Jeff Daniels and the girl from Jurassic Park. I can't remember her name. The little girl. Anyway, what happens is...
Ariana Richards.
Thank you. Some people show up at this guy's hotel, and they're really weird. And Jeff Daniels is trying to figure out, like, okay, well, they're here. This bed and breakfast or whatever. And they're there to kind of check out the locals. And he's kind of trying to figure out why they're there. And what he learns is that they're going back in time to watch disasters happen. And a meteorite ends up hitting this town and levels it. And he lives, of course, just outside the town. So what ends up happening is he gets some of their time travel technology, and he decides to go back in time and try to stop and try and evacuate the town. So hijinks ensue. It's a hard movie to find. You may be able to find it on YouTube, possibly, but I can't say I've ever seen it other than this is one of those ones I rented from Parmar, grabbed the other VCR, and made a dub of it. But yeah, that was the Grand Tour. And then I think, let me just double check. Oh, Kung Fury. That was the one that almost did Edge of Tomorrow. Have you guys ever heard of Kung Fury?
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, you can go to YouTube. It's a YouTube vid. Kung Fury.
Oh, that's why you asked how long does it have to be?
Yes, it was a
release.
2015 YouTube short.
Hacker Man.
I mean, yes, Hacker Man. It's hacking time. It is a great, I don't know. How long is it? It's 31 minutes. So it's half an hour. I mean, watch this guy. Is he going? Oh, he didn't do it. He kick flips a cop car. It's amazing. But anyway, Kung Fury, very much a personal favorite of mine. Triceracop, sir. Triceracop. All right, that's it. I'm done sharing.
Oh my God! No, I've never seen that.
I feel like we've all broadened our horizons.
Yeah, we have learned so much. Oh,
that may not have went how we planned, or maybe it went exactly as we planned. I don't know, but it was a good time.
I'm curious as to what alternate reality list would have been out there had the vetoes went a little bit different. Had the roll of the dice.
You can never relive it. This is it. This is chiseled in stone. All right, sign us out.
Jesse, thank you for visiting. Again, you're welcome anytime. We appreciate your friendship and how well you've supported us over the years, and we enjoy what you do over on the Rattleitch Broadcasting Network.
Thanks a lot, man. Thank you guys for having me. We had a blast. Like I said, I have been itching to do this podcast for a while, ever since Seth mentioned it. So again, appreciate the opportunity to come on here. And and just like I said, expound or let's just say talk about my love for time travel movies. Find me over at the Unspoken, let's try that again, Source Material Comics podcast feed. Should be able to find that in any podcatcher. You can hear me talk about comic books on there. We have Unspoken Issues on that same feed. We're just getting ready. It'll probably be in the archive once this releases, but we're about to hit a discussion where Chris Armstrong and myself talk about every Image founder's contributions launch title. So the number one issue of each one of those launch titles. So Spawn, McFarlane Spawn, Savage Dragon by Eric Larson, number one. We are not just going to be talking about them. We're going to be doing something very similar to this. We're going to be counting them down, and it's a 4-hour podcast that's divided up into 8 episodes.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, that's about 10, 15 minutes an episode. Every day you'll be able to get in there and hear us count down as we get to the top. Who is going to be our combined? That's interesting because we combined our picks. Who's going to be our combined number one Image founder that we love? You're going to have to wait till the very end, but that's happening right now. I think it's as we speak. It just aired June 4th all the way through June 12th or maybe 11th, something like that. Check it out, guys.
Big week ahead of us.
Yeah,
big week every day.
I'll be taking Jesse Starcher on my commute to work every.
I've got like a stack of Jesse podcasts in my catcher, just like
they're all there. Thanks again, guys. I appreciate it.
Awesome stuff. Thank you for listening. We love you all, and we'll be back in time. My name is Jordan Lowe.
30, flirty, and thriving. I'm Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth. Bye forever. Or maybe not.
Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Sounds, music, and clips played during the podcast are property of copyright holders. All original content is property of www.udownwithkpp.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave a comment. Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, and wherever podcasts can be found. You can connect with us through social media on Facebook, YouTube, at the Ka-Pow Podcast on Twitter, or email the show, Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast at gmail.com. If you really want to go the extra mile, join our Patreon at patreon.com/udownwithkpp for special content and access to Patreon-only benefits. We are grateful for anyone who chooses to contribute, but please know that most of our content will remain free. So please continue to like, comment, and share.